Hello everybody, I'm Maria from the Prism team, and today I'm going to be taking you through the basics of run charts. Run charts are an absolutely brilliant way of taking really dry, boring numerical data and giving it a real visual punch, so you'll be able to quickly and easily see if there are any patterns or changes in your data as you go around your improvement projects. So for example, I have some really boring dry numbers here. What's going on here? I have no idea. It's too boring. This is my daily weight following my pregnancy. It's hard to see if there are any patterns, but the moment you plot it as a run chart, you can immediately see the obvious pattern. Looking trim, Maria. So what I'm going to be doing in today's video is taking you through how to create your run charts and how to analyze the data to see if there are any non-random patterns. So what we'll do is we're going to focus in on my computer screen and I'll take you through it. Let's go.
So, okay everyone, we'll go through run chart fundamentals. Do you like what I did there? Haha. So run charts are exactly what they say on their tin. They're a chart that is running through time. So you always start off with a nice little x-axis, and the x-axis is always time. It could be anything you want: seconds, hours, mornings, days, weeks, months, eons, whatever is important to you in your quality improvement project. And then you add to your y-axis the measure that is relevant to your improvement project, such as waiting room times or theatre start times, percentage of a target achieved, whatever measure you've chosen for your improvement project. So now you have your axes, so you can start plotting in your initial data. You plot it in consecutive chronological order, and you connect it, join the dots with little lines, and there you go. It's fun already. Once you have about 10 to 12 data points, you plot in the median line. So simple, you just rank your data, and whatever the middle value is, that's your median line. And this line is going to help you see if there are any patterns in your data that are not random, to which you can attribute a cause. So run charts are all about helping you visually see if there are any non-random patterns to your data. And it might be you've done something to improve something, or something's happening to your system that you might need to investigate. It's all about helping you see exactly what's going on in the measure of interest. So you plot your median line, and then you just carry on collecting more and more data. And the more and more data that you collect, the more powerful your run chart becomes, because then you're more likely to start seeing patterns. And whenever you make a change in your improvement project, or in the area that you're measuring, always annotate your run charts, make them really dynamic, so you can always look back on them and see, oh, this is when we did this and this is when we did that. So annotations are really important to help you analyze your data later. So as you can see here, my data is looking pretty random. The data points are just flipping back and forth around the median line. It looks pretty random. But how do we know that for sure? How do we know when something is not random? Then are the 4 simple rules of run chart analysis. I'm hesitant to say analysis. It's actually very easy. You can just visually see. And these help us to see when there's something not normal variation happening to our data. So I like a good acronym, I do. So I use the one called STAR. The first 3 rules are very intuitive, and the last one's a little bit harder to get your head around, but I'll help you through that. So we'll start off with looking at shift. So a shift is when you have too much data hanging above or below the median line. And I've demonstrated it here. The data looks pretty random, but how do you know if something's significant? If you have 6 points sitting above, in a little bunch above or below the median line. That's highly statistically unlikely to happen. So something's happened here. This is a non-random pattern. So this is the shift. So 6 points sitting all together above or below the median line. And this is usually an indication that you probably need to recalculate your median line again, because you've done something and the normal variation around your line has shifted. So this is quite intuitive. The second rule is a trend. Again, very simple. It's when your data points are consecutively going upwards or consecutively going downwards. It doesn't matter if they cross or don't cross the median line, but this is an indication of something not random going on. So here we have a downward trend. So there's 5 points going consecutively downwards. So for a shift, you need 6 points above or below your median. For a trend, you just need 5 points going upwards or downwards. The next one is fairly straightforward. This is an astronomical data point. So here I've got some more random data. It looks pretty random, but if suddenly something appears out of place, this is an astronomical data point. So here, obviously, this point is something has happened. It's either you've inputted the data incorrectly, so it's always worth checking that the data is correct, but it might be something weird has happened to your system on that day, and again, it bears further investigating. The last rule is the least intuitive, but I'll try and explain it to you. It's when there are either too few or too many runs. So a run is having some points on one side of the median line. So at 1 point, that makes one run. So here at the beginning, you've got 3 runs, and then followed by 2 runs, another run. So you can see there's lots of runs. It's actually quite hard to count the runs. So the easiest way is to actually just count the number of times your lines cross the median line and subtract by 1, and that tells you how many runs are for your data. And when you count the number of runs, you compare it to some tables, and we have tables online on our Prism website. I've got the link in the description box below, so you can see that your data sits in not having too many or too few. And the way I like to think of this, to explain it logically in my head, here's some data. Again, it looks pretty random, but if you count the number of runs, the line crosses the median 1, 2, 3, 4 times, minus 1, so that's only 3 runs for this number of data points. That's too few runs for this data. And the way I like to think about it is, if you think about a coin toss, so you're tossing your coin, it can either be heads or tails, and you'd expect something random like this: heads, tails, tails, heads, tails, 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 heads. This looks random, and if you can imagine, every time you throw a head, it's a run. Every time you throw a few tails, it's a run. If you start tossing your coin and you get things like a head, 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 tail, 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 head, 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 tail, 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 you're still getting 50% of the time heads and 50% of the time tails. But suddenly the data itself doesn't look random. There's something else going on here. This is a non-random pattern. There's too few runs in this data. And conversely, the opposite can happen. You can have too many runs. When you start tossing your coin and it's head, tails, head, tails, head, tails, head, tails. Again, 50% of the time you're getting heads, and 50% of the time you're getting tails. So the probabilities match up, but the data itself is not random. So the easiest way of checking for this is to count how many times your line crosses the midline, subtract 1, and compare it to some online tables. And as I said, we have online tables on the Prism website. So in summary, those were the 4 easy rules, fairly intuitive, to check that your data, if there's any non-random patterns in your data to which you can ascribe causes to. And for more information, go check out our website at prism.ed.com.
Welcome back. I hope you found that run through run charts helpful. There's plenty more information about them on the Prism website, so there's a link in the description box below. And if you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section and give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!